Hi, I'm Kerry Henderson from the Kingston Festival of the Arts, and I am really excited today to introduce my two new friends, Sarah Fellini and Isaac Byrne. Now, Sarah and Isaac are involved with a fascinating project which is coming to the Kingston Festival for 6 amazing performances. It's a one-woman show called The Other Mozart. Now, Isaac, could you tell us a little bit about the genesis of the project?
Absolutely. So Sylvia Milo, who is the creator and writer of the show, was actually traveling, doing sort of a musician's tour of Europe, and she came across this portrait of the Mozart family and saw this woman with this incredibly tall hair and who was playing with Amadeus, and she was like, "Who is this?" And she started researching and looking into it, and she found out this whole history of Mozart's sister, who was older and was also a prodigy and toured with him and was known as one of the greatest keyboard players in all of Europe, but who sort of just disappeared from history.
And I'd never even heard of Mozart's older sister. What was her name? Nannerl?
Nannerl. She was known as
Nannerl.
Nannerl. Her actual name was Maria Anna Mozart.
Yeah, and Sarah, how did you become involved with this project? Sarah will be performing the role of Mozart's older sister at the festival.
Yeah, I started working with the project when it was put up at the Cherry Lane Theater in New York, and I was just kind of interested in this fascinating project. Sylvia Milo was performing it in New York and is now performing it in Munich and Estonia this summer, and she gave this beautiful performance that was just so fascinating to me and was so inspiring that I had to work again on the project when it came back to the Here Art Center. And I just, I worked backstage, and I had to be a part of this production. It's so beautiful, and it's such an important story too, to hear about this lost female composer that nobody, even people who study music, Isaac studied music, and you obviously study music, and people have just never heard her name, even though she was, such a famous, child prodigy, and has such a famous brother, and no one's ever heard of her.
And how was Amadeus influenced by his older sister?
Oh, well,
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah, this is it's an interesting question. Actually, somebody asked an older music scholar, and he I forget his name, but he said, "Oh, not at all," or whatever. And quite a lot of people wrote back and said, she had a huge influence. Actually, her first music lesson, where she was 8, and we don't know why she didn't start studying until she was 8, but her first music lesson, her father was amazed at how quickly she was learning. He said she learned faster than any of his other students, and she had this incredible talent. And then Amadeus interrupted her and started crying, and so they let him try to play, and then he figured out the melody. And then after that, they had music lessons together. So they traveled through Europe after about 2 years of lessons together, and she was the much more accomplished musician. And she did a lot of his training. His first symphony that he composed, she actually orchestrated it, and there are things in her diary and things about him, asking her to find something for the French horn to do or for this to happen. Basically she helped guide and shepherd him through all of his younger career.
Wow. And just surmising, I wonder how it would have been if Mozart had an older brother with the same gifts.
Well, she wasn't allowed to play any non-keyboard instrument. Women were not at that time allowed to play the violin, any of the orchestral instruments, and they weren't taught composition. At some point we know that she composed, but it's all lost, and none of it survived.
And she could have sung.
Yeah.
Also,
Oh.
and she might have sung, but
Right.
there's not a lot of writing about her singing,
No.
so they think that she just wasn't. But singing was also appropriate for women. There's a very limited range of musical outlets for women.
Right.
Singing was appropriate, and mostly it's we think it's partly because of the restricted movements of the time that
Yeah.
women couldn't really move a lot in very dramatic ways, like the violin, or obviously orchestral instruments, or a little
Right, a little provocative,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
yeah. And the organ, you have to open your legs to play the organ pedals, so that's
So women were not allowed to play the
absolutely
organ.
out.
We won't even go there.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, this production, there have been a number of performances in New York City, which you mentioned. At the moment, the show's in Europe.
In Europe, yeah, we just finished a great run at the Here Art Center in New York. Great reviews, wonderful review in the Times, and
I saw
now
that.
Sylvia is performing in Munich and then Estonia. She's performed it all over Austria. We've done it in New York, Massachusetts, Alabama, all South Carolina.
And it's going to the Mozarteum
Yeah,
in Vienna.
Yeah, in Vienna, we've been asked to perform at their anniversary performance in 2016.
Well, that's very, very exciting. Now, tell me a little bit about the production. There's an amazing dress, right? Tell us a little bit about that and how that came about.
Well, the whole show takes place on a dress. It's 18 feet by 18 feet.
Wow.
With the panniers, the corset, and the extra hips
Right.
that women used to wear back then.
Beautiful design.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
We had a number of designers working on it, and all the props and everything, all the set pieces come out of the dress.
So the dress is the set.
It's a set,
And
it's a
Sarah,
costume,
you
yes.
will be wearing this amazing set piece, this amazing period dress in the Uptown Gallery here. We've already had the measuring tape out. There's
Yep.
just enough
Because
room
it's
to squeeze it in,
18
right?
feet. It's a big
Well, Sarah and Isaac, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you today. I can't wait to welcome the Other Mozart to the Kingston Festival for 6 amazing performances at the end of August. You can check out the schedule online, www.kingstonfestival.org.